Hey there, lady. My name is Molly Conley, and I'm devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives, whether that's after divorce, dating on and off the apps, or in their committed relationship. Why? Because I've been there. I'm a former college athlete who filed for divorce 3 years into marriage, swam in the online dating pool into my late 30s, and now I am married to the man of my spreadsheet dreams who I met 4 months before the world shut down. As a dating and relationship coach, I help my clients shift the focus from being obsessed with finding Mr. Right to shifting to herself as Miss Right Now. We build a foundation filled with clarity, connection, and confidence, knowing she is worth waiting for. Each week on the podcast, I'll bring you love life insights and savvy guests, where you will receive the courage to release programmed limiting beliefs. Discover patterns and behaviors restricting you from finding and attracting quality men, and ways to choose yourself first so you can build a foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself and a partner. Remember how easy it was to just meet someone? A college party, a night out with your girlfriends, or even meeting a man at work. But each of those relationships, if they even made it that far, came to an end. So you pull up your phone, download any dating app you can find, create a profile, and start swiping, matching, and messaging ASAP. You go on date after date to think that maybe this time the guy will work out. You don't understand why it's taking you so long to find your person, as everyone else seems to be happily partnered around you. You don't want to settle, but you feel like you're running out of time and finding quality men. After one horrible first date after another, you decide to delete the apps and test your luck in the real world, only to find out it's even more difficult to determine if someone is worth your time and energy. Now you're left wondering if you're going to end up as that crazy cat lady, become the cool aunt in the family, and always be the bridesmaid, never the bride. So, how do you wake up from this nightmare? With my Man of Your Spreadsheet Dreams workshop. Over the course of a weekend, I'll teach you in my exact process and methodology that I used to manifest my unicorn of a husband. There's 2 90-minute live calls, a Facebook community for further support, and of course, your very own Spreadsheet Dreams template. Register by January 1st to get it for $97. That's over 50% off the final price. Use code DREAMS24 at checkout. Just click the link in the show notes or head to my website, reinventingthearena.com, and navigate to the Man of Your Spreadsheet Dreams workshop. I can't wait to help you manifest the man of your spreadsheet dreams. Hey there, lady. Welcome back to the final episode of Season 1 of Reinventing the Arena. I am so excited to have you here with me today. So I recently came across this video that I wanted to discuss because it's pretty timely, as it's associated with Christmas gift giving. And maybe you've seen this video too. It's a husband recording Christmas morning. He shows one stocking that he says is his. Then he shows his daughter looking at her gifts, and her stockings are to the side. And then I think there's a stocking for the dog. And then he realizes there's another one just like laying on the couch or another chair or something. And he was laughing when he asked, "Whose stocking is this?" And before the wife can respond, the daughter says it's an extra one. That's when the wife is like, "It's mine." And he laughs and he brings it over to her. And guess what? It's completely empty. So she just lays it on the arm of the couch. Sadly, this happens to a lot of women. So this isn't just a one-off moment, as the comment section was blowing up with other women that felt the same pain. Then the woman who created this Instagram carousel also included videos of other women who had responded to this empty Christmas stocking situation. And they did that on their own Instagram accounts or TikTok. And they mentioned things like, "This is why you're surprised when your wife divorces you. This is why women should stop doing all the things for their husbands." One even suggests starting a fight with the husband, asking where was her gift. And The last one I saw was a woman where she said she will make a list for a man to go get the stocking items. Of course, I very much enjoy this woman's account, the feminist life coach's account, and the person behind it. But this isn't a moment to bash men or say that all men feel entitled because they believe that they are to be served. This is a moment to move through and get unstuck. A lot of women, including my past self, get stuck in the bitterness stage, which was honestly a lot of replies or conversations around this video. So, what's the bitterness stage? What does it look like? Well, it looks like the silent treatment. It looks like assuming the other person can read your mind, having emotions like anger and frustration, which can eventually lead to like exhaustion and sometimes burnout as you're trying to push those feelings away. Basically, you have been let down before. You assume that you're going to be let down again. And now you think the best way to deal with situations like the stalking is to remain bitter, fight, or just give up altogether. It does include a lot of similar messaging around men are trash, there's no good men left in my town, and even so much like fuck the patriarchy. Listen, I would consider myself a feminist and I have acted out in these ways before, you know, before I knew where some of these emotions and thoughts were coming from. There's so much to tackle in the bitterness stage that it can be overwhelming for my clients, and maybe it would be for you as well. So I suggest to grab some pen and paper or save this episode because I'm going to give you some step-by-step ways to help you get unstuck from the bitterness stage and start moving yourself forward in a more emotionally at ease state. These steps will help you with the 4 areas of self transformation that I've talked about in previous episodes and are part of the work I do with my clients. The 4 areas are self care, self love, self trust, and self worth. All 4 areas overlap and they impact each other. Most of the time, we hear about self care and self love, like as pedicures and bubble baths, or even just, taking care of your finances. But self-care and self-love start by going inward so we can create trust and worth within ourselves. When you can do this on a regular basis, it helps build confidence and creates ease within yourself so you can outwardly express your thoughts and feelings with those around you. Here, I am laying out those steps to get unstuck by using both internal and external practices layered into a conversation to have with your partner or your husband. Okay, first, so whatever your situation is, make it a statement. Write it down, and then I want you to say it out loud and pause. What emotions are coming up for you? Most women in the bitterness stage will say anger. If anger is what you're feeling, then great. You are allowed to feel anger. There's a lot of women who have felt like they cannot express anger or be angry in general. Not only are you allowed to be angry, but you are human and your emotions are part of a human experience. They are not tied to how you should be or feel. Learning not only how to feel your anger, but express it in a healthy way is critical to helping you move through this bitterness stage. So when I was stuck in the bitterness stage, I worked out a lot. As a former athlete, that should not be surprising. But for you, you want to make sure you diversify how you express your anger, because then you're going to be able to process those emotions in the moment, which allows you to move forward more efficiently. So in the stalking example, the woman could get up, go into the bathroom, and take some deep breaths away from her family. Know this, emotions only last 90 seconds, but they can feel longer. And sometimes something else may happen immediately after, which causes you to continuously be angry. So it's going to take you longer to move through that emotion. Plus, anger that you have pushed down within you, or maybe you've pushed it away from truly feeling the emotion, it can manifest in other ways like body aches and pains, headaches, and sometimes lead to serious health issues. So, a quick recap before moving on. First, acknowledge the situation by creating a basic statement. Second, say it out loud. Pause to determine and name what emotion or emotions are coming up for you. Third, release or express the emotion in a healthy way on a regular basis. Okay, I'm going to stick with anger as the emotion for the rest of this example. So, with anger, anger is a sign of an unmet need. It could relate to a memory or a situation that happened from your childhood. It could relate to your own core values. It could relate to a self sabotaging behavior entangled with a limiting belief. Determine what is making you feel anger. This is part of the process, can take some self exploration and reflection in order to identify what is truly going on underneath the situation at hand. Sometimes I like to ask my clients if they know what their love language is because it can help uncover the deeper layers of their unmet need, especially in this gift giving situation. So, just a quick reminder of what those love languages are. Number one, words of affirmation. Number two, quality time. Number three, gifts. Number four, acts of service. And number five, physical touch. Let's say for this woman, she knows where her anger is coming from. When this situation happened, her anger showed that she felt forgotten. She felt unappreciated. She felt like her husband didn't love her. The fact that he laughed made her, even more angry because she knows she deserves to be treated better. All of this was tied to a few of her childhood memories where she felt left out during a school situation, felt forgotten about during a joint family birthday party, and felt unappreciated when she went out of her way to make her first boyfriend feel cared for and loved. Her husband's laughter brought on ridicule and reminded her of what other people in the past had done to her in those situations. So once you're able to discover one or two memories or situations where the emotions underneath the anger are visible, it is now time to have a conversation. Technically, you can have this conversation because you are coming from it at a place of self-awareness. You know where these emotions come from, not just the anger, but the ones underneath it. Sometimes for people, these situations or memories have a lot of trauma attached to it. These are things that I would definitely recommend, if it's in your case, to work through with a therapist who is trauma informed and able to help you release some of these issues. So, if that is not something that you have to do and you're able to move forward, knowing where these situations have occurred in your life and the emotions that have come from it, you can now move forward. So now you're acknowledging how you felt in those past situations and how they impacted you as an adult. You're accepting that your husband or partner may have no clue how his actions made you feel and how deep this situation hurts you. This is why you need to have an open and vulnerable conversation with him. Now, I get it. This might sound kind of nerve-wracking, scary, or maybe it's even just intimidating. I suggest writing a letter. Yes, by hand, no texting or emailing, because this is just part of the process and this takes practice. So if you've never done this work before, it takes time and you need to give yourself grace in the moment, as you know it's something you're working on with yourself for your future self and your relationship. And trust me, it happens to me too. Even though I'm a coach, I'm still human. I still have to step away and gather myself, well, and gather my thoughts too, just so I can communicate in a way where not only will my husband hear me, but he will listen to me too. So in order to do that, there needs to be a shift. a shift from you to I. Yes, you will shift the conversation to be all about you, not your partner, in the beginning. So obviously, you'd invite your partner into another room away from, children, family members, distractions, anything like that. Try not to use the I need to speak with you sort of language where the other person would feel like they're in trouble, like, from a parent or like some authority figure. Once again, acknowledge and accept that your husband has no idea the underlying emotions around the situation. Oh, and I'm going to share how I would communicate this with my husband, as well as throwing in my love language of quality time and how I show love, which is through gift giving or acts of service. To start the conversation, I usually throw in a cute little word like babe. So I'm like, hey, babe, can you come here in a minute? He doesn't feel threatened or intimidated or know that he's in trouble in a sense because I'm using some very generic but loving, kind words to have him come talk to me. And then the conversation might go like this. I was taking a moment to think about what happened earlier this morning. I loved watching our daughter open her gifts as well as you, but I felt forgotten about when everyone else was opening their stockings. I know more than likely that wasn't your intention. I'm starting to realize I have this unmet need of wanting to feel loved and appreciated. And honestly, it's the little things that make a big difference for me. Even though the stocking is just another gift, I took the time to include specific gifts within each person's stocking to make sure it was unique to them as possible. I'm sharing this with you because I love you and I want us to continue to build our relationship. Okay, so here is where you'd receive a response. Hopefully, your husband or partner is extremely responsive in this way of communication. He might apologize and ask what he can do. So, most men do like to be problem solvers. With that being said, you do need to have a way for him to help solve the problem. Here, I would suggest recalling a moment where he did make you feel loved and appreciated. If you cannot come up with something, I would suggest keeping a list on your phone. So before you have a conversation, you can go back and look at them. That's when you're going to share it with him. So something that I could say with this conversation to my husband would be, you made me feel appreciated and loved when you brought me my coffee as I was trying to rush out the door early for work. You told me not to worry about getting it as I was searching for my keys. You kissed me goodbye, and it really helped me shift my perspective for the day. Maybe if you could be aware of those little moments, especially when I need help, that would be wonderful. So if you look at that, those two conversations that I had, hypothetically with my husband, in the first one, I used I statements a lot to put all of it on me about how I was feeling. And it's not aggressive or attacking him in any way. Then when, hypothetically, he would ask, how can he help solve the problem or what can he do? I then switch it to you, all the things that he actually has done. A recent example of how he made me feel loved and appreciated so that he knows that he's already done good before. He's already been able to do this. You're just asking him to do it in a different way with the stocking situation, right? So by doing this, it helps build this conversation of honesty, trust, and love that is going to really help solidify and embrace the conversation of making this slight change of not feeling forgotten anymore if he doesn't fill your stocking. Okay, so if you don't have anything that comes to mind, I would rely on those love languages again. So here's a few ideas based off of them. So for words of affirmation, it could be, having him write you a letter, having him, give you a card, or even just moments every once in a while where he can just say, I appreciate you doing X, Y, and Z. For quality time, if that's your love language, he could carve out time for just the two of you during the holidays when the kids go to bed, or even just plan a date night at home. When it comes to gift giving, if that is your love language, suggest your favorite treat, whether that's like food, which for me is like a big win, or a massage, which honestly kind of like triples the love language communication. So that includes like, quality time and physical touch. But it could also be, like your favorite flower or a new book from your favorite author. Now, if your love language is acts of service, maybe it's putting the kids to bed, washing the dishes, or running an errand you dislike the most over the holidays. Maybe it's even doing like one of those together. With physical touch, it could be really simple. It could be the massage, like I mentioned earlier. It could be holding hands or snuggling on the couch together. Maybe it's even like a foot rub or like a shoulder massage. Okay, with all of this, I hope it helps you if you do run into the situation over the upcoming holiday. Maybe share this with your husband or partner before then so they can see how a situation like the stocking could bring on these emotions for you and impact you and your relationship. So, before I end this episode, I do want to discuss that your partner or your husband might not respond in the way that I mentioned earlier. No matter what, he is human and he's had experiences that have shaped his perspective. And just like my husband called out in episode 77 about men doing the inner work, it is possible for him, just like yourself, to challenge those experiences and perspectives. So if he reacts instead of responding, it's going to sound more like pushing the blame onto someone else. So blaming that he was never taught to do XYZ with Christmas, or that you should have told him earlier about the stockings. Instead of you reacting back to him with anger or frustration, you can respond. So I'm happy to hear that you're aware of how you were never taught to do XYZ over Christmas, but together we can change that. The second one could sound like this: I would have been able to tell you earlier if I knew where my emotions were coming from. I can't go back and change how things occurred, which is why we're having this conversation. Shifting the blame is, pretty normal for someone who doesn't want to take responsibility for their actions. So, usually this is wrapped up with some shame, and it could be centered around something else in that person's past. I'm not saying it's right, but I just want to make sure you're aware so you don't have to dig yourself into a deeper hole within this conversation. Plus, if the person is blaming someone else, they could be completely unaware of what is causing them to react in the first place. So they would have to be open to finding out where this emotion is coming from, like the defensiveness of pushing the blame, just like I explained with the anger. Last but not least, his ego could be getting in the way of him being open and vulnerable with you too. So instead of making this like a one and done sort of conversation, give yourself the opportunity to continue practicing this kind of communication as he could start to come around with this approach. Please know that all of this takes time, effort, and vulnerability. You can improve your relationship around situations like the stocking by doing your own inner work. And as you do, it can rub off on those around you, like your partner or your husband. If men are listening to this episode, I would like to give you some ideas for your partner's stocking. First, know that it's never too late to fill the stocking. If you end up filling it the day after Christmas, own up to it and literally say you fucked up. Not kidding. Apologize sincerely and let her express how she feels about the situation. Listening also goes a very long way. Your wife in this whole situation, she wants to be seen for who she truly is, for what you love about her and what you value in your relationship together. So what are some of her favorite things or hobbies? For example, I love baths. So bath bombs, candles, Epsom salt, and a book from one of my favorite authors would go a long way. You could also find a few of her favorite lotions, maybe high-end beauty items that she likes to use, like maybe a face mask or even a gift card to like Sephora or wherever she gets her makeup. Does she love to lounge around the house on the weekends, to watch a movie and maybe she sips wine during that time? Get her some new pajamas and like one of those half bottles of wines at the grocery store. Just try to remember if she likes red or white, whatever. Just give her both or get her just a full bottle, whatever you think would work best for her. Obviously, these are just some of the general ideas, but really think about how your partner spends her free time or the things that she says she wishes she had time to do. Okay, lady, if you have friends who need to listen to this episode, please share it with her before Christmas in case she needs to have this sort of conversation. And if you found this episode helpful, I would love to know. Please leave a written review or star rating wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, and hit subscribe or follow button to join me for season 2 on Tuesday, January 9th. If you want to stay connected between now and then, give me a follow on Instagram at Reinventing the Arena, or you can sign up for Lady Love Lessons on the bottom of my homepage. Go to reinventingthearena.com to sign up. Have a wonderful holiday season, and I will chat with you, lady, next year. Crave chocolate at night, but you don't want the sweet treat to keep you awake? Don't worry, Moment has their chocolate dream blend, which has all the same benefits without the sugar, caffeine, and is still 15 calories. It's my favorite to have while Brad and I ease into our evening routine. You have to try these out. Use code ReinventingTheArena15 to save 15% at checkout. I will include the link in the show notes.